up those of you who like, or even love salad. Salad leaves, lettuce. Okay, hands down you guys. Hands up everyone who really doesn't like any kind of leafy greens. Anyone? A couple. Okay. Well, those of you in the audience who like your salad leaves, I'm going to try to convince you to think a little bit more carefully about where those leaves are coming from. And those of you who don't like it, I'm going to try to make you think about that, but also maybe tempt you to try salad once again. But it's salad my way. So, gourmet weeds, there's a clue. I had a bit of an epiphany about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. It was a winter. So as a gardener, I didn't really have much growing in the garden at that point, and I was buying what we all buy, the bags of leaves from the supermarket. And I was making some lunch. I went over to the fridge and I pulled open the chiller drawer and pulled out that lovely fresh green bag of leaves. But no, I'd opened it a couple of days before and closed it up again, put it back. And now, instead of those lovely fresh crisp leaves, I had a pile of slime. And I had enough. I was sick of this scenario where I'd buy the leaves, I'd spend quite a lot of money on them, and then I'd eat a few, and then the rest would go to waste, they'd turn to slime. And that was the start of me thinking, well, surely, as a gardener, I can grow my own salads. I don't have to rely on this supermarket supply. And I also began to realise that there was a problem with these salads that I was buying from the supermarket. Not only were they quick to turn into slime, but there was an ethical issue here to think about. And I started to do some research. Thankfully, my colleague at The Guardian, Felicity Lawrence, had already done the hard work for me. She's done a lot of research into where our salad's coming from. And the reality is, although we have the capacity in this country, the right soil and conditions, to grow lettuce year-round, we don't. Much of it is imported from around Europe. Much of it comes from Spain. There's a sea of polytunnels out there, and a lot of the staff who work in those places, the workers are pretty low paid, often immigrants working in poor conditions. And the soil there is such that a great deal of fertiliser has to be used to get those lettuces produced. The fact is that lettuces are grown as a monoculture on an industrial agricultural scale, requires huge inputs of fertiliser. The other problem is that grown as a monoculture, they're very subject to pests and diseases. So on average, most lettuces will have been sprayed 11 times in their lifetime, which is with pesticides. So unless you're buying organic, that's what you're getting on your lettuces. So there are a number of problems that were beginning to come to my mind about how these things were produced. And this was spurring me on to think, surely I can grow this stuff myself. So I began to think also about how I might go about getting green salad all year round without going to the supermarket, saving myself some money, and perhaps also getting a better salad as a result. Now, most salad is made up of lettuce. There's your rocket and so on, but most of our salad is basically lettuce, and it's pretty boring, it's pretty insipid. And I realised quite quickly that there had to be a more flavoursome way of eating salad. And I went all medieval. I went back to medieval textbooks on gardening and growing and cooking, and this is what I discovered, that actually surprisingly, medieval people ate quite a lot of salad, but their salad wouldn't be something that we would recognise necessarily. If you can read Middle English, I'll just leave you to get on with it, perhaps I can translate for you. It says take parsley, sage, green garlic, spring onions, leek, borage, mince, leeks, fennel and cress, rue, rosemary, purslane. So that's 14 ingredients there, folks, already. Wash them clean, pick them, pluck them small, and mix them with oil, vinegar and salt and serve them forth. So there's a medieval salad recipe. And I decided to try to replicate this in my own kitchen and in my own garden. And I suddenly realised that this was going to work. If I put lots of different herbs and leaves of different kinds into a salad, it tasted incredible, it looked beautiful, and it was good for me. There's a couple of salads that I've served up to myself, and it was possible to do it all year round, even in the depths of winter. So how did I do this? Well, there's loads of different leaves that you can use, dozens of different things that you can forage for and grow yourself. I'm just going to talk about 6, so I'm not going to overwhelm you. These are my super 6. If you don't remember anything else, just remember this super 6. So foraging, this doesn't mean going off, tramping off into the wild, somewhere remote. This means your back garden. The best place to forage, and that just means picking things that you've done 0 work to grow, things that are already growing there. It's very straightforward, and the best place is your back garden because you know exactly what's happened there. You know whether there's been anything sprayed, whether there's been any dogs wandering around, etc. I'll leave that to your imagination to work that one out. And the great news is there's lots of things in our garden that we have to put 0 effort into growing that we can still eat. So the first one, it's a terrible name. I want someone to rebrand this plant, but it's hairy bittercress. And it's these rosettes that you can see here growing on some not very inviting looking land. These grow throughout the year. In the winter, they're a fantastic thing to grow because they taste like mild watercress. They grow quite lush and leafy. In the summer, they tend to go to flower immediately, but in this state, they're delicious in salad. And they grow everywhere. You will have this in your garden, trust me. The next one is a tiny bit more work, but it's still really simple. If you have a windowsill, go to the supermarket, buy yourself a box of dried peas in the dried goods aisle. I'm not talking about any kind of fanciness, just basic dried peas. Soak them in some water for a couple of hours, then sow them in a few centimetres of compost. And what you'll get is pea shoots. You can pay quite a lot for these in the supermarket, but you can grow them yourself. Quite simply, you allow them to grow. Within about 3 weeks, you'll have shoots this high, and you can harvest those, leave 1 set of leaves behind, and you'll get another crop and another, until after about 4 months they run out of steam. You can do the same with things like coriander, bags of coriander or fenugreek from your supermarket, and grow them as microbeans, which is what you can see here. This is a fantastic weed called fat hen. These names are great, aren't they? This is your gastropub's posh spinach. Grows everywhere, is incredibly nutritious, and great as a spinach substitute and the young leaves in your salads. This grows all around King's Cross. It's called wall rocket, and it's a perennial rocket. So instead of having to sow rocket seeds every year, this one, you can just have it as a perennial plant growing in your garden. It has attractive yellow flowers and it tastes just the same as rocket. Red valerian, this is everywhere, either with pink, red or white flowers. The leaves you can use in your salads, the young stems you can chop up and use in stir fries. Again, more free greens. And then finally, this sometimes blows people's minds, violas, pansies and violets are all edible. And they're the leaves and the flowers you can eat. They don't taste as much, but they're a great bulking agent in your salad, just like you'd use lettuce. And again, all year round you'll be able to use these. My only caveat to this is I'd say, like they say on The Apprentice, be 1000% certain before you go foraging that you know what you're picking. But if you do that, you'll find there's a whole new world of taste and flavour out there, as well as knowing that you're making a small but significant political act in stopping buying that supermarket salad. Personal is political, and there's nothing more personal than what you're putting into your mouth. Thank you.